Hello everyone, my name is Peyton, and in this video I will be going over how to decimate a model from a high poly down to a lower poly just for the engine, and then also going over actually re-UVing that same mesh in here since we are getting some updates with our geo and everything. And for this instance at least, I wanted to kind of use my mesh here, this curtain that I have already set up. And it's a little high poly, but I want to bring it down some more just so it's more optimized. So this can work with a non-nanite mesh inside of Unreal Engine 5, or also with a nanite mesh if you would like. Of course, nanite does help a lot with like reducing geo issues and everything. But if you are going to have something a ton of times in the level and it's not really affecting you to like lower the poly count a little bit, like at least visually, then it might be nice just for your system and stuff to run depending on what you're using it for. So with that, I am starting here with my mesh, and I'll go ahead and open up the curtain and show that, yeah, it's just 27,000 tries, so it's a little high. I think it was brought right out of Marvelous Designer, and so yeah, it just never was really edited. And I think I got the basic UVs that we have potentially. I don't even know if it has UVs. Okay, yeah. So this is Marvelous. This is nothing changed. It does give you this layout that's kind of like this in there. But it's going to change a little bit, so we will need to re-UV it. But similar to some of my other videos, if we go up here, we are going to want to turn on two plugins. So the first one is going to be the model plugin. This is going to be the modeling tools editor mode plugin. You'll want to enable that one, and then before we restart our system, you'll also want to type in the UV editor plugin as well, and you can turn that one on here. So once you have that, you'll want to restart your system, and then we can actually get into doing this. So now we have our curtain. I'm going to go over to our mode. I'm going to drop down to modeling. So this is going to be where a lot of our other features are that we've already gone over, but of course that we do have some ways to actually mess and deform our geometry. There's one thing that I did want to bring up too that I mentioned in a previous video, and that the modeling mode does have UVs here that you can play around with. It'll do auto UV and everything. And this is a great way to do some really simple stuff just as you're working along in here. But I also want to show one of the more experimental plugins as well. As it's still like in beta, but I wanted to show off just the capabilities of it and how you could actually get to it. So now that we have that, I have my mesh, and I want to actually come up here and go to, there's either remesh, which is going to retriangulate the mesh, or simplify, which is just going to simplify the mesh. So I'm going to click the simplify mesh node, and basically we see here that it's actually giving the triangles and everything. Now one thing that you will note is that it is getting really crazy and basically breaking up all of my geo. That's not going to look good, and yeah, we just can't have that. So one thing I want to do is actually discard attributes right here. What this is going to do is get rid of the UVs and normals. So we should see now that it is clean. Looks pretty much like my original model that I had that was high poly. And up here we will see the target percentage. So the default is going to be 50%. I can scale this up. It's going to be higher just with the geo amount. This is the original 100%, so it should be 27,000 tries like this, and then 50% should be half of that, and then accordingly like 25% should be a quarter of that. So yeah, I could drop it down. Let's say we want to go down pretty low, and what's nice about this is we are seeing it real time, so I can basically see how much is distorting the geometry, and I think like overall I'm down to 20% of the original geo, and it's still looking pretty solid. So I know that I can at least get it down that far, and it'll take away a good amount. There's a couple of other types, so you can do simplifier types. There's normal, aware, UE standard. So yeah, a lot of these you can kind of just run through, and they might do some better ways. Or let's go over here to the UE standard. This is supposedly a more high quality one. I think yeah, I haven't necessarily had an issue with this one here, the QEM normal, where I believe is going to pick up on the normals, and I think existing positions, so forth. I think, yeah, overall, I've just really enjoyed mainly just using the default one. It's fast and kind of easy, so stuck with that so far. But yeah, so we have that, and then you can, of course, change this either percentage. If you want as well, you can type in a triangle count and actually control the specific or desired triangles that you want. If you want it to get down to 1,000 tries, this is how you can do that. Or vertice count if you want it to be specific vertice and so forth. But I like the percentage. It's very similar to ZBrush's like Decimation Master, where it uses the percentage as well. So I think, yeah, that's pretty nice there. And then, yeah, we've already discarded attributes. There's also the geometric constraint, and we could turn that on, see if it really helps in any way. Don't think it's doing much. I believe we have to actually, yeah, change the constraint there, but still not saying much there. So yeah, I like just keeping it pretty simple. And there's, yeah, some viewport like visualization things that you can change over here as well. But I think overall, like, we look to be pretty good with that. So now if I hit accept, now we have our new geometry. Like, let's say I could bake on some ambient occlusion on there, or even just like if I bumped it up a little bit further. But overall, I think besides a little bit of some light stuff going on, I think it's doing a pretty solid job, and it's down to 5,000. So I could, revert that if I wanted to, and then just did a Control Z. And we can see that, yeah, it's back up to the 27,000, and I could just go back into it again and actually do 50% if I wanted to, and call it at that. So let's say we're good with the 13,000, half of what it was before, but our UVs might be a little bit messed up just because of that. So of course we do have the UVs here that I was talking about in a previous video. But if you want to use the UV editor that actually has like a viewport, you can basically go up here to the actor location up here, and then go down, and under the asset tools, once we have that UV editor plugin enabled, you should see the UV editor here. And so I can click that, and you'll now see that this UV editor pops up. And this is pretty cool because we can actually, yeah, mess with the UVs in here. And don't have that. Cool. So yeah, we're working with our curtains so far. I could go ahead and do an auto UV if I wanted to, lay it out a little bit. And right now, yeah, it's looking like this. I don't want it to be cut up that much. So what I'll probably do is use something along the lines of, let's say we lay it out and see what that's looking like. But the UV editor is really nice because you can kind of move around here. It's not specifically in the viewport. It has its own window and everything. So it's a little bit more to what you might be used to when you're actually working with UVs in another program. And it has the sewing, the splitting, and all. And here I've noticed some of the tools are a little bit, still being worked on for sure, because it is still like an early access mode, at least for this plugin. But I think it has a lot of potential with what it has so far. Of course, if I'm going to auto UV it real quick, try to lower the patch count, and you can see basically I wanted it to only be one patch, and so that brings it down to only being one piece, and that's looking, yeah, pretty decent. Of course, there's a couple of other like features and stuff that you can work with in here as well. If I wanted to going through some of these. But yeah, I think it just takes some time tweaking for your specific model, seeing what's working, what's not working. And of course, yeah, once you actually have it here in the viewport, we can see it a little bit better as well. So I think, yeah, just kind of playing around with it, see where it's stretching, where it's not stretching, seeing what works best for your model, I think is good. And then once we have this, we can change the texture resolution if we'd like. But overall, we're pretty much ready to hit accept. One other thing I did want to mention, of course there's the UV atlas, X atlas, but let's say you wanted to, you had multiple islands or so in here, you were cutting things up. You can also, let me hit accept here. So we have the selection tools up here at the top. You have your select vertices, so I can select the individual vertices or even drag select some of them. You have the select edges, so I can drag select some of the edges. I haven't found the way to necessarily like double click and select like an edge loop or so, but a lot of the features in here are working pretty well. Select triangles, select islands. This is a single island, so it's not really doing anything. And then there's select meshes as well. And if you need to control any of this, you can move over here and actually move this stuff around and set it up on your 0 to 1 space right here in the grid. So yeah, I think it's pretty helpful, a really cool tool that they're continuing to work on, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it kind of goes. But with that, I can hit save and close out of there. And now if I go into my curtain here, we'll see that I have my 13,000 tries and my grid is aligned. And if I go up to my UVs, it should be what we actually set up inside of there. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Hope you found that helpful, and I will talk to you next time.